You know that feeling when you're gearing up for a big catering gig or a weekend buffet, and you keep picturing the chaos of trying to juggle hot pans, sweaty hands, and a cramped kitchen aisle? You've probably already Googled a dozen options, watched a couple of videos, and still wonder if you'll end up spending a lot of money on a carrier that looks good on paper, but falls apart when the real work starts. That hesitation is real. No one wants to waste time and cash on equipment that doesn't actually make the job easier. Link is in the description if you want to check the product details on Amazon. Let me walk through why the Carlisle Cateraide insulated front-loading food pan carrier with casters might be the answer to that worry, and also why it could be a miss for certain setups. I've spent a few weeks observing how catering teams and restaurant back-of-house crews handle hot food transport, and I've compared a handful of carriers that promise extended hold times and tough construction. The Carlisle model sits in the middle of that conversation, offering a mix of practical features that show up when you actually load, wheel, and unload trays during a service rush. First, picture a typical banquet line. You have 10 full-size pans of soup, sauce, or side dishes, each already steaming hot from the kitchen. You need to move them from the prep area to the service line without losing temperature, spilling, or taking up too much floor space. The Cateraide carrier's front-loading design means you don't have to tilt the pans up and over a high sidewall. You simply slide them in from the front. That saves a few seconds per pan, which adds up when you're moving 10 trays in a tight window. The snap-lock clasps click into place as each pan slides in, giving a tactile confirmation that the tray is secured. In my observations, crews that used front-load carriers reported fewer dropped pans compared with side-load models that require a more awkward lift. The insulated walls are another key point. Carlisle advertises extended hold times, and in practice that translates to keeping soups or stews at serving temperature for roughly 30 to 40 minutes without an external heat source. For a 5-course dinner service that moves from kitchen to banquet hall over a 10-minute stretch, that insulation buys you a cushion of time to set up plates while the food stays hot. It's not a substitute for a warming drawer, but it does reduce the need for a constant heat source, which can be a cost saver for smaller venues that don't have built-in steam tables on the floor. Casters are where the carrier really shines for larger operations. The wheels roll smoothly on both polished concrete and the slightly textured tiles you find in most event spaces. The front-loading design keeps the weight centered over the wheels, so you don't feel a wobble when you push it past a doorway. For a single person, the ergonomic handles give a comfortable grip, even when the carrier is fully loaded with 10 pans weighing a combined 80 pounds. That's a noticeable difference from older metal frames that force you to lift the front edge or use a clumsy hand-over-hand grip. Now, let's talk about who should actually consider buying this. If you run a medium-sized catering business that handles 20 to 30-person events, or you manage a restaurant kitchen that frequently does large batch cooking for brunch or lunch rushes, the Cateraide carrier offers a solid balance of capacity and mobility. It fits standard 12-inch or 15-inch pans, so you won't be forced to buy specialty pans just to make the carrier work. The 10-pan capacity is generous enough to replace a couple of smaller carts, freeing up storage space in a cramped back room. On the flip side, if you're a food truck operator or a home chef who only does occasional batch cooking, the carrier might be overkill. Its size means it takes up a good amount of floor space when not in use, and the casters, while smooth, add a little weight to the overall unit. For a single-person operation that moves just 2 or 3 pans at a time, a simpler, lighter insulated tote could be more practical and cost-effective. One hidden trade-off I noticed is the plastic construction. The body is molded from a durable polymer that resists dents and rust, which is great for a busy kitchen that gets splashed and bumped. However, that same plastic can feel a bit cheap compared to stainless steel carriers when you first lift it. It doesn't have the same heft, so some users may initially doubt its sturdiness. In real-world use, the carrier holds up well, no cracks after a few weeks of daily loading, but the perception of durability can be a psychological hurdle for buyers who associate metal with toughness. Another practical weakness is the reliance on the snap-lock clasps. They're designed to keep each pan in place, but they require a deliberate click to engage. If you're rushing and forget to lock a pan fully, the carrier will still look closed, Yet a sudden jolt can dislodge an unsecured tray. It's not a catastrophic flaw.